All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Makar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. I want to do another one, on the new covenant and why, like, it doesn't make sense if these Christians that claim to believe in the Bible and all these other people that claim to believe in the Bible, it doesn't make sense why they cannot explain or they don't know what the new covenant is, right? For all their talk of how they only deal with the New Testament and they have whole doctrines based on only the New Testament, it doesn't make sense why they don't know what the New Testament or the New Covenant is, man. It's very it's either they're doing it ignorantly or they're doing it deliberately, man. And I believe they're doing it deliberately because they know exactly what it says and they don't have answers as to why it says what it says, and it don't match into their doctrine. This is Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 31. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Now, if you ask certain Christians, what is the new covenant, right? They won't want to, they'll run away. They'll actually run away and won't want to explain what that is, man, right? They actually get cut and they'll try and ask you the question again, right? To repeat the question because they're trying to come up with time to have a lie. Or they'll say, oh, the New Testament or the New Covenant is the blood of Christ or something like that, they'll say, right? Which is not true because the Old Covenant was not the blood that Moses shed using animals' blood in order to bring in the Old Covenant. So why would the New Covenant be the blood that was shed? Right? It don't make any sense, man. But let me carry on reading this. Behold, the days come, Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 31. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although as a husband unto them, saith Yahweh. But this shall be the covenant that I'll make with the house of Israel. And that's the reason why I personally believe that they don't want to read in the scriptures what it actually says the new covenant is, right? Because then it brings importance to being an Israelite. Whereas the whole doctrine of Christianity, basically summarized, is that the Israelites once were the chosen, but now they're not. But if that's true, how do they explain that the Bible says that God's going to make a new covenant with them, not based on the covenant that they made with their fathers in Egypt, but he's going to make a new one, right? Verse 33 again, but this shall be the covenant that I'll make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I'll put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. So the law is involved, and it doesn't mention the law of the Messiah here, right? Because the Messiah didn't make no new laws that his father never made. And when he came on the earth and was telling the Israelites about God's ways and about the law, he was summarizing it up in terms of saying that the whole law ultimately is based around these two things, right? To love Yahweh with all your heart and with all your soul, and to love your neighbor as you love yourself, which your neighbor is a fellow Israelite. And both of those 2 points that Yahweh Shai said of how love the Lord with all your heart, that can be found in the Torah. So can love your neighbor as you love yourself be found in the Torah. So he was telling them laws from where the law is for the Israelites, right? He wasn't changing up the ways like what Christianity would have you believe. Verse 34, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know Yahweh, for they shall all know me from the least of them unto the greatest. Now, Christianity, they'll say that they're under the new covenant, but then they'll be trying to teach people the Bible and telling them that they need to repent and telling them that they're sinners. But if that was true, they wouldn't need to do that. They wouldn't even need to teach people among their own congregation that they try and say that, oh, this person's a bit lower in the spirit. They wouldn't need to do that if they was really under the new covenant. And that's why it's a small question. I don't think this is a difficult question to find out what the new covenant is. When you read in the Bible, there's way other harder to understand things than this. But Christianity finds this a difficult question. They don't actually go to this place of the Bible, Jeremiah 31 or Hebrews the 8th chapter, whenever this question gets asked to them. And if you see any of the videos that they have on the internet of them trying to explain this scripture, they're going to lie. They're going to say that house of Israel and house of Judah means spiritual Israel, but they don't explain how you can come from one or the other. They don't explain how one Christian, according to their doctrine, is going to be the house of Israel, but another Christian, according to their doctrine, he falls into the line of Judah. But we can explain it according to that being for the Israelites, because the house of Judah would be Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, and the house of Israel would be any of the other tribes. So it would be split into the northern kingdom Israelite and the southern kingdom Israelite, either those that was taken down by the Babylonians or those that was taken down by the Assyrians. And that's why when you go to the 33rd chapter, he explains them as being the house of Israel, because the prophecies in the Bible state that the house of Israel is no more going to be called two nations, but they're going to be called one nation. Now, one place you can go to read that is Ezekiel 37, whereas most Christians are not going to explain these things, man. And in fact, since I've said it, I'll just quickly show it, man. Because our teachers don't tell us to be like Christians where you just prey on people's ignorance, right? And where they claim that they believe in the Bible, but as soon as somebody is going to read a Bible verse, now all of a sudden they don't want to read it. They don't want to read the Bible. It's amazing. All over this whole world, you've got Christians that try and hand out leaflets and all of this stuff, right? But then if you ask them a question on the Bible, right? Or if anyone asks them a question on the Bible, they're going to try and say, oh, now is not the time for questions. And they're just trying to get you in their church because they want your money, right? That's the real reason. And that's why a lot of people are falling out of the church, man. And that's why wicked people that really don't believe in the scriptures, that are predators, man, are able to go in the church. So you'll have a weird creep with a rainbow colored dress on. And he's a man with a big beard, right? But he's pretending that he's a woman, and he's allowed in the church. Because now, since truth's not been spoken in them churches, right? A little leaven leavens the whole lump. So more and more wickedness is pouring in there, so that Yahweh can expose that them places are not about righteousness, man. Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 21, and say unto them, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and I will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land, and I will make them one nation upon the mountains of Israel. So has that happened to the people that are in the land of Israel right now? Have they been gathered from the heathen and they're now one nation? No, it hasn't, right? And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king unto them all. Has that happened? And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore. Has that happened for those people in the land of Israel? Or are they saying that we don't know where the lost tribes are? Are they calling them lost tribes? Right? People laugh at the 12 tribe sign that Hebrew Israelites make, right? But that is a better try at trying to say who the tribes are than what these people that are claiming to be the people in the land are. They say we don't even know who they are. They just say they're somewhere. They ain't tried to say who they think they are, right? They ain't did that. But people want to laugh at the Hebrew Israelites because they're angry that those people are waking up, man. Because they want the world stays, all these heathens can have a better portion than us as long as we stay ignorant to who we are. But as we start believing in ourselves, because we know that Yahweh ultimately believes in us and has caused us to be cursed, man. In order to show, listen, man, in order for you to get the good things, you have to believe in me. Right? And he set a remnant. They're mad that we want to believe in us, believe in something other than this world that they've got, man. These heathens are mad if we complain that they're able to make shops in our neighborhood and get rich. These Ishmaelites don't want to hear that, because they want our women of our nation to hate their hair and come into their shop and buy weave, right? They want to be able to set up a Caribbean food shop, right, opposite a market, and just have you come in there and buy food from them, right? And then them not want to look you in the eye, and you still got to give them your money. And for them to be calling you a Kala and all that when you come in the shop, be speaking Urdu, chatting shit about you and all that. But then at the same time, getting rich off a whole bunch of ingredients and a whole category in this world that you use. Not that nobody else uses, because let's not make no mistakes about it. These other nations, women don't be using them hair shops as much as the Israelite woman does. But if the Israelite woman wasn't cursed, they wouldn't be doing that. They wouldn't be using no weave shop, right? If we wasn't cursed, we wouldn't need to go to the heathen for no foods, that specialized foods that we eat according to our diet, to have a Caribbean style diet or whatever, or a Ghanaian diets and all of that. We wouldn't need to go to them, man. So they love that we're cursed, because they've got houses. They get 5-bedroom house with a gate. Then they can get their cousin or their next family member to build the same thing across the road, man. And they can start building a little haven in this world, because Esau got the main portion of our nation and stuff. But these dogs came by and licked up the crumbs. And who are the dogs? All the other nations, man. Verse 22. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. And they shall no more be two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore. Also, when it's all said and done, man, a Native American ain't gonna walk past you, right? Because this is what these Native Americans and these Latinos try and do, man. They think they're slick sometimes, right? They can speak Spanish and all that, but let's say a brother wanted to ask them the time, for example, maybe that scene one in America or something like that, because you don't really see them over here. They'll try and pretend like they can't speak English, man. They say, oh, no hablo inglés, or no, that try and think they're slick on it. No speaker, no English, trying to think they're slick. Yeah, you can, man. Don't try and chat shit. You can speak English, man. But you're looking at your own brother like he's a nigger. That's what it really is. But then when Esau comes by, not even asking you for the time, he's just standing around on the street looking like he might be lost. Hey, hermano, you need help? You'll try and come with all that Espanol, Viva Espanol. You'll know habla inglés then, right? You'll know how to speak English then, when it's your enemy, right? A lot of y'all are wastemans too, man. You Native Americans, and that's why Yahweh allowed them to come over into your country that you was living in for like many centuries, man, and get slaughtered over there because you was going off. You was going off, man. You don't deserve no more exemption for your sins than we did, man. But you think that you're separate from us, but you've went through exactly the same stuff as what we went through. But in the time to come, that's not going to be there. Judah's not going to vex Ephraim, and Ephraim's not going to vex Judah. So no tribe's gonna have no splitting of the kingdom is gonna be there no more. We're not gonna look at each other sideways, and we're gonna be able to travel anywhere in the land of Israel and be at peace among our own people, man, and not have to worry about the heathen. All the tears are gonna be wiped away from our eyes. We're not gonna have to worry about none of this. Verse 23: Neither shall they defile themselves anymore. Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things. So they ain't gonna be nobody burning out the so-called black woman anymore. The so-called black woman ain't gonna call no so-called black man dusty. You wanna know why? Because he ain't gonna be dusty. No Israelite woman's gonna get to be called a big Shirley, nappy-headed hood rat with a pH balance that's off. That's not gonna exist. All the women are gonna be fine as hell, man. Fine as heaven. Let me say it like that. All the women are gonna be all tens. There's not gonna be no such thing as a overweight or out of shape Israelite man or woman in the time to come. We're just all gonna be healthy, man. The women of our nation are gonna look like they've got makeup on without having makeup on, man. Their natural look, when they wake up in the morning, it's gonna be a damn 10 out of 10. Now, what woman wouldn't want that? What woman doesn't desire that? Because all the women of our nation, let's make no mistakes about it, they all want to be attractive, but some of them don't want to go gym or don't want to eat healthy on this side, right? So they wake up in the morning and they see themselves in the mirror and they don't like what they see, so they take it out on the Israelite man in most cases, pretending and talking about how he can't handle a real strong, independent woman, and that no, he just don't like you enough. And that's the same thing for why it is with some of the women of our nation as well. They don't like the men enough for the finances and for all these different things like that, man, because we ain't got it like that right now. But that's because of the curses. And that's why it's amazing that these Christians don't want to speak about the new covenant, because they try and They want to try and make out like the laws don't exist anymore, man. They want to try and make out like the laws don't exist, but the Bible don't say that though. The Bible makes it very clear that the laws are very important and that they are included in the new covenant. Here's the same thing in the New Testament, Hebrews chapter 8, or in a new covenant. Because that's another thing that Christianity doesn't want to teach. They don't want to teach that the word testament and the word covenant are exactly the same thing. So when they're saying they only read the New Testament, they're saying, oh, I only read the new covenant. But what was the old one? Because in order to understand the new one, you would have to understand the old one. But who was the old one for? Because it weren't for everyone. Was the old covenant the blood that Moses shed for animals? Or was it that the Israelites was told to keep these laws, and if you keep them, you'll be blessed, and if you don't keep them, you'll be cursed? Where in that covenant did it say, if I ever send a prophet to you, right, that you're going to just be cast away and never be my nation no more? Or did it say that you're going to be cursed? And I'm going to make Moses write this song so that it can be a statement, a memorial against the house of Israel, so that they can remember when they waxed fat and kicked, that they fell away. It never said that he was going to cast them away. Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 8, for finding fault with, in fact, verse 7, if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. Now, who made the old covenant? Was it not Yahweh? And Yahweh knew that the old covenant had a fault in it when he made it. Now, Christians might try and say, nah, that's not true. Yes, it is true. Because when you go to Deuteronomy 30, you find out that the Israelites were going to receive the blessing and the curse. And it shall come to pass, meaning it has to happen. And until it's happened, it ain't passed. So it's still waiting to happen. It's still pending, right? If it hasn't came, it ain't passed. If it hasn't came, it's pending, meaning it has to happen. So Babylon the Great hasn't been destroyed yet, meaning it's pending, but it has to come to pass. And until America, which is Babylon the Great, has been destroyed, we're still waiting for it to be destroyed. Until we're under the new covenant and we're keeping all of Yahweh's laws perfectly and don't need for nobody to tell us to keep them, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't came. It's pending. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, meaning that they had to go through the good things and the bad. They had to be in Israel under King Solomon, living it up, all the heathens doing all the hard work, and where the rulers and the generals over all of that, like how King Solomon had it set up. But then it also had to be you're on slave ships, getting your head bust open, getting your teeth smacked down your throat, being forced to eat food. You ain't going on no hunger strike. I'm making you eat food because I want you to work for me. Oh, you didn't pick enough cotton? I'm going to chop your leg off so that maybe you can learn to pick cotton faster next time, boy. That's how they was doing this, man. But that had to happen. Oh, you've got a wife? Well, I'm going to share your wife with you. And in fact, I'm going first. That's how they was doing this, man. Oh, you're getting married. Oh, that's nice. Well, let me test it out, what your wife's like before you get a go on her, before you get to consummate your marriage with your wife. I'm going to have a go first. That's what Esau was doing, man. And what's scary, which these Christians don't want to accept, is that had to happen. They don't want to accept that our Atlantic slave trade that we went through was prophesied to happen, but they'll accept that in the Bible the Israelites went into slavery in Egypt and that was prophesied, and they hadn't actually did anything wrong in order to go in that slavery. The Israelites was prophesied to go into slavery in Egypt when they didn't even exist. It was already set. The descendants that you're going to have, Abraham, that I'm going to make be your seed, that I'm going to say this is your seed, even though you're going to give birth to many other nations, the ones that I'm going to say belong to you properly are going to go into captivity for 400 years in a place that I'm choosing, Egypt, right? That had to happen to them. They couldn't say, you know what, we don't feel like it. We heard what you said to Abraham, but we like it in Egypt now, so we're going to live there for 450 years. And it couldn't have been a thing where we still was living there now and grew up in Egypt, and we're all just in Egypt chilling right now as Israelites. And we've heard that, yeah, Abraham was told, our forefather was told that we're going to go into slavery here, but we just decided, nah, we're not going to do that. We're just going to live out here instead. And we're not, when the time to come out of this land is there, we're going to say, nah, we're not leaving, we're going to stay here. Yahweh never said it up that way. He said, you're going to go into captivity for this amount of time, then you're going to leave, and leave with great substance. That's what Yahweh said. And if you don't believe me, read Genesis. You know what, man? We ain't Christians, man. So we can say things and improve it, because we ain't no Christians, man. Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13, and he said unto Abram, which was Abraham's name before it was changed to Abraham. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Meaning that had to happen. So people acknowledge that, okay, in the Bible, some people went into slavery and God said that was going to happen. But if we say in the more modern time, and that we also have a history of slavery in our cult among us, and say that's why we think we're Israelites, they were like, nah, that's not true. They'd say, nah, that's not true, man. But if in ancient Egypt, when this was happening, the Israelites would have said in Genesis 15 and 13, it says, yeah, we're supposed, if there was a Torah at that time for the Israelites to have read when they was going through this stuff, just a part of this, and they said, you know what, that's what we was told. The Egyptians might have said, nah, you are slaves because we conquered you. You ain't our slaves because your forefather was told that you're going to go into slavery. And the Egyptians probably would have got tired if every single time Israelites wanted to prove that they was Israelites, but they knew that they was at that time anyway. But I'm just making a point. The Egyptians would have got tired saying, oh, y'all always go to Genesis 15 and 13 to prove you're Israelites, man. Just like how people complain that we go to Deuteronomy 28. But why is it that we can go to Deuteronomy 28? To show the state of our people? And why can't those people in the land of Israel do it? Last bit of verse 13, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. So that they didn't have a choice in that. It had to happen. But Christianity don't want to teach that, man. They're liars. They don't want to go into these things, right? They don't want to speak about what the Bible says the new covenant is, because it mentions God's laws in there. So they have to lie. Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 10, for this is the covenant that I'll make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh, I'll put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I'll be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. But why don't these Christians ever go into this? And when they do go into it, how comes they change the house of Israel to now be everyone? But then they have the nerve to complain when Israelites change Gentiles into Israelite foreigners that are following Gentile ways. But they don't have a problem mentioning taking an actual nation and saying, oh, that's talking about another people. That's like saying, okay, where it says the Philistines, you can say, oh, nah, those were Israelites. Or those were Edomites living a Philistine way. Those are spiritually Philistines. Nah, man. You can't do that. Now, in some places where it says Egyptian, it's really talking about an Israelite living in modern day Egypt, right? But the Christians will do it in places where they're not supposed to do that, because they ain't got the spirit to discern what the Bible is really talking about, man, because they're the oppressor. They're the bad guys of this whole story. They ain't the good guys that are going to save the day. They're the wicked. They're the oppressors of this story, man. And it's actually deep. I was reading up on the Great Seal of America, and originally when they had the Great Seal of America, they was gonna make the Great Seal that we see on their dollar bill now. It was gonna be Moses splitting the Red Sea, right? But Yahweh put the spirit on them to not do that and to turn it into a pyramid, right? Because to show, so that when later on when time came, so they did the Great Seal, American Seal. I think it was 1776. But now in these more modern times now, we can see the pyramid on there and say, see, that's America. I've never been to America in my life, but I've got a dollar bill that I can go to in my wallet, and I can see that it's got a pyramid on there. It's not a hard thing to do. You can just go to any money exchange where you live and buy a dollar. It will be cost less than £1, and you will be able to see it for yourself, man. And then if you're done with it afterwards, you could give it back. But you can even go on the internet and just look at the dollar bill and you will see that it's got a pyramid on there. And why? Because it's America, Babylon the Great, spiritual Egypt, right? America is spiritually Egypt, man. Spiritually Egypt, because it's got the Israelites over there in slavery. Now, who were the people that was over there in slavery? The Native Americans, Mexicans, and Puerto Ricans, right? And so-called black people, man. Everybody knows about the so-called black people. Judah and Ephraim was oppressed there together, man. Judah and Israel was oppressed there together over there. Which I've kind of gone off topic from what the topic of the lesson was, but the new covenant is that God's going to put his laws in the minds of every single Israelite, man. Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 10. For this is the covenant that I make with the house of Israel after those days. After what days? After the days of every single other prophecy that has to come to pass. The second coming of Yahushua, America, Babylon the Great being destroyed, the Charagma, Revelation 13 verse 16 to verse 17 happening, all of the sedition among men and invading one another, they should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, right? Nation versus nation war, which is World War III, but also civil war, right? The cashless society being perfected and them trying to force people with the Charagma to be a slave under that system or be beheaded, all after all of those days, right? That's when Yahweh is going to make a covenant with the house of Israel, the new one. Saith the Lord, I will put my mind, the laws into their mind. He wouldn't do, there'd be no point. If he did it now, then we'd be blessed, right? Then that, if he did it now, we'd be keeping laws all perfectly, and there wouldn't be no need. We'd end up being a top nation above all people already. So of course Yahweh is going to make every single other prophecy happen first before we're changed. It wouldn't make no sense for us to get changed before that. Wouldn't make any sense. The change for us is going to come after everything else. Right? For this is the covenant that I make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh. I'll put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I'll be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for all shall know me from the least to the greatest. Right? And this next verse is the one that proves that the Israelites have not been cast away for all their sins, man. Verse 12, for I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. And that even includes their betrayal of Yahushua, man. Because the Israelites have been continually dying for their betrayal of Yahushua. When they said, let his death blood be upon us and our children, it was and still has been, man. That's why the Atlantic slave trade was even all that blood that was shed then. That was the blood that they asked for to be put on them, man. That was it. All the times now that Israelites be getting shot down, knees put on the back of their neck for 9 minutes straight, all of that's that same blood that they asked for to be spread on them, man. They asked to be made guilty for that, so they are being. But the elect of the nation of Israel ain't going to be held guilty for that. But then even still, those Israelites are going to receive mercy too, man. But they're going to have shame in the kingdom of heaven, whoever they are going to be. They're going to have shame in the kingdom of heaven. And the Israelites of the elect, they're going to have glory in the kingdom of heaven, even though they're still going to be shown, when you read the scriptures, they're still going to be shown the wickedness that David did. Because Yahweh is not going to allow any Israelite to get into the kingdom and boast. There's not going to be any boast that you're going to have. There's not going to be no boast. No one's going to be able to say, you know what, I did 25 videos a week. That's why I got saved. Because Yahweh will just set up a scenario where 1 week they might do, I've only did 24 videos. No one's going to be able to say, you know what, I kept every Sabbath perfectly since I knew I was an Israelite. That's the reason why I got received salvation. Because Yahweh will set up a scenario where you don't keep a Sabbath properly and know about it, to where you're cut into the heart, so that you can't boast in that. He's going to set up a scenario in every single way, shape, or form, so that you are going to not be proud, man. Even when it comes to those of us that are not going to take the Charagma, it's almost going to damn near look like we are going to take the Charagma. It's going to look like, man, you could be at that, just at that last moment, feeling weak, like, man, I may as well. But Yahweh's going to set it up to where you're like, nah. So even that thought of you in your mind being like, man, should I just take it? What if it ain't yet? That's going to cut you into the heart, man. Because when it came there, you was kind of a bit weak and was going to take it for a short period of time, but then didn't. That still would be a thing that would humble you, that you can't boast even on that, man. Doesn't it say in the scriptures, the righteous shall scarcely be saved? Yes, it does. So none of us is going to have nothing to boast or flex, man. If Yahweh Shai didn't even flex when he was down here, nobody else is going to have no flex. But we're still going to have a glory and a praise to Yahweh when he destroys this place, man. I really want to see, even if I believed I was a 2/3, right? I would still, even a 2/3 would still want to see America get destroyed, man. Even them, a lot of them would want to still see America get destroyed. And that's why they was all praising up the place when they saw that Edomites was getting hit in the head with white chairs, man. But then they took it too far, though. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God have avenged you on her. There's even people that ain't even Israelites, man, that they want to see America get destroyed. So how much more the people that suffered and their whole nation got made, instead of being the number 1 nation on the earth, they ended up being the number 18 nation on the earth, man, last. Right? Because if as Israelites we ain't the first nation, we're the last one. Doesn't matter how good we can dance or how nice we are with the flow or the rapping and that, or how good we are acting. If we ain't number 1, we're number last. We're last place, man. Simple as that. That's all it is, man. Which the topic kind of went from something else, but it doesn't matter, man. Right? All of it's relevant in the Bible to make people understand the Bible, man. And I'm gonna end the lesson there, man. These Christians don't want to go into what the new covenant is because it cuts their doctrine, man. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Makar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. Shalom.